Right, good afternoon. It is the 14th of August 2024 and it is just coming up 20 past 2 and we are at Devices Training Centre in Wiltshire. I'm Dave Geddes and I'll be conducting the assessment. Can you just introduce yourself quickly?
Yeah, I'm Chris Edger, Watch Manager General Trainer at Devices Training Centre. I've been here for just over 2 years and currently working towards a teacher qualification.
Fantastic, thank you Chris. Before I go on, you notice I've got a recording going on in the background there. That's part of the assessor qualification that I'm doing there. I did ask you before I put the camera on there that you were happy to be recorded, but can you just confirm that you're happy?
I'm more than happy.
Fantastic, thank you. And as you've just explained there, we're here today because we're going to be setting up an assessment plan in regards to you and your teaching qualification at the moment, which is the City and Guilds Level 3 AET. So we'll go on from there. Before I go any further, or as we start to move on though, before I start the assessment process, I will need to make you aware of a couple of bits. Firstly is around our core code of ethics. And it would be my responsibility to comply with the core code of ethics throughout the assessment process, and obviously yours as well. Sitting behind that is the assessment appeals procedure, which is EPR 40, which we've got a copy of there, and I'll give you that to go away and read at your leisure there. But to summarise there, as we go through the process, if there's any of my or any behaviours I do, or if you feel like I'm not assessing you fairly, or you've got any concerns or issues and stuff, primarily come and raise it with me. Challenge, open to challenge and be asked questions or on those kinds of bits there. If there's anything about the assessment process that you're not clear on, then again, please come and ask me initially there. And if you're unsure about any decision that I'll make off the back of it, again, you can come and explain to me. I'll explain the rationale. If you feel you can't explain or you can't come and speak to me because of the nature of the concern that you've got, then obviously you know who my line manager is Wayne, and then the procedure would go on to Wayne, and then it clearly sets out within that process there what you can do and how you can do it. Okay. As we go through the module as well, we have theory side of things, so we'll be looking at your underpinning knowledge, and there are some practical elements tomorrow, or there is some practical elements in there which regards to the a micro teach session. I don't know what you're teaching yet. What are you looking at? Or is it a top secret?
It'd be leisure related.
Oh, okay. Obviously, as we go through it, while we're in and around the building, the usual health and safety requirements are in place for regards to movement and stairs and all those kinds of things. If we move on to your micro teach session, which we'll come on to in a moment there, but if there's any health and safety bits in there, then I'll be expecting you to pick those up as well. And I'll obviously be overseeing the whole thing to ensure that we stay within the realms of health and safety within the workplace, and also all the other bits that sit there, for example, like making sure it's fair and ethical and it's compliant, and more importantly, when we come on to things like GDPR as well. But if I explain that quickly as well, obviously I'm recording what's going on here. The video recording I'm using as part of my assessor qualification I will upload to YouTube. That'll be then looked at by the people who are assessing me to make sure that we're doing things as we should be doing. Once that's completed, then I'll obviously delete that YouTube account and any videos that are contained within it. Any documentation that I produce as part of this process as well will be held securely by me. Paper copies, unless they're required, will be deleted or destroyed, and I'll keep an electronic copy. As soon as the usage it's required for is completed, then I will destroy those as well and delete all of those. And you're more than happy to see me delete those as well if you want to, just to ensure that things have been done fairly. But ultimately, if we go back to our services information governance procedure, I'll make sure that I follow that through as well. Okay. But again, any questions as we go through, please feel free to ask. Okay. So before I move on to the more important part, which is about the assessment process and that, have you got any questions at all with regards to the way you'll be treated as part of the assessment, my behaviour, your behaviour, GDPR, health and safety, equalities, or anything else?
No, I'm all good, thank you.
No, okay, no problem at all. Key part on it though is at any point during that, please come and say, if anything comes in, please ask me. Okay. So, more importantly, we're here today to create an assessment plan for you, and this is going to be against the City and Guilds Level 3 Award in Education and Training, primarily Units 301 and Unit 302. Okay. What I'd like to do is within these is there's some stuff in there as well, some bits in there which I think would be a good basis and understanding. You talked about working towards that teacher qualification, and you talked about yourself as an instructor in a training centre. But what are you looking to achieve from the courses, the training you're doing, any form of assessment that comes off the back of it as well?
So for me, it's more about finding a more rounded approach to delivery of training and assessment, and formalising stuff that's been talked about for a long period of time. Is that we do this method, we do that method, we do that. Now I've got a better understanding of those methods that I can carry across into my delivery and assessment methods.
Okay. And you mentioned you've been here for a couple of years, but
Yeah.
what other experiences have you got?
So I'm on-call crew manager for best part of 14 years. Yeah, on-call crew manager for 14 years. I was previously a contracted fire service crew manager for the MOD. Various qualifications in there for training and delivery, but again they were in-house, so nothing formal. Yeah, and that's pretty much where I come from with the teaching background, so I've always been involved in training in some respect.
Okay. No worries at all. Well, what we're trying to do then is make this plan so that it meets those criteria
Yeah.
you've identified there as your own personal wants and needs. As we go through the assessment process, have you got any concerns about being assessed, or
No,
any worries about the whole thing?
No.
Done it loads of times now.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. And again, just for my own parts there is just to ensure that have you got any issues with regards to, or any specific requirements I need to be aware of,
No.
things like dyslexia or
None that I'm aware of anyway.
No declared neurodiverse requirements. No. And the activities that we'll undertake, you're more than happy to do them.
Yes, I am. Yeah.
Okay, brilliant. So I suppose just to summarise then, you're looking to get more of a rounded approach and a wider understanding from the course,
Yep.
and be able to demonstrate that via the means of a formal qualification, because either you've got 14 years experience as a career manager, and prior to that career manager as the MOD with loads of in-house qualifications, nothing sort of formalised and accreditable. Is that the right word? Accreditable that sits behind
Yes.
it? Yeah, that sits behind it. Okay, so I suppose let's get on to how a plan of how it would look.
Yeah.
So the assessment criteria I use, and we're going to use various parts within there, but what I'll try and do is make it as holistic as possible. So if I can find a method there that meets a lot more, as many criteria as possible, then we'll look at doing that.
Yeah.
Stuff that fits more to your individual style of learning or demonstrating it, and all those kinds of bits there. But as you've explained, there's no real barriers to stop you using any approved mechanism. You've talked about previous courses that are in-house. Have you got any other teaching qualifications?
I've got a Skills for Justice accredited trainer assessor course,
Okay.
which I'm currently waiting for the certificate to come back for, because it was during COVID and there was a bit of a mix-up, so I'm just waiting for an updated certificate to come back.
Okay. Because what I'd like to do is, I've had a look through some of the assessment criteria for the level 3 AET from City and Guilds, and there's Unit 301 Task A, which is understanding the teaching role and responsibilities in education and training. So when you're talking about understanding what they do and the various methods and techniques and sort of lots of ways you use there, the rounded approach and the wider understanding of the role of a teacher or a trainer. And I think that one covers it off quite nicely for you, because it's got Unit 301A, which is explain the teaching role and responsibilities in education, explain how the teaching role involves working with other professionals, for example, support staff, carers, employers, and a range of others. Explain the boundaries between the teaching role and other professional roles, so if you get someone who's got a significant requirement, best bucket skills,
Yep.
how you do that. And summarise key aspects of legislation that really affect you, so for example, health and safety at work, GDPR and stuff like that. The Skills for Justice Level 3 qualification.
So it's not a level 3, it's a tailored course which is accredited a credit to credits towards the level 3.
There's an initial point there. I'd like to sort of see if you can provide me with the evidence on there. If we can claim that as recognised prior learning, then it saves us reinventing the wheel effectively, doesn't it? So would you be happy?
I'll email you over my workbook that I've done for that qualification.
Yeah.
And you can peruse that at your leisure. There's nothing to hide in there, so you can use that. And when I get that updated certificate, I'll give you a copy of the current certificate, which lists the modules that we covered. When I get a new one, I'll forward it on to you. So you've got
Okay. Brilliant. Because if you can send that through to me, then what I'll do is I'll assess it against there and then see if it cross maps and where it cross maps. If it meets those 4 criterion within that Unit 301 Task 8, then we can look at claiming that as RPL.
Yeah, good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Happy with that?
Yes.
So that'll be the first part that we'll look at doing from there. The second part, which is Unit 301 Task B, which is provide a reflective account, which is explained why it's important to promote appropriate behaviour and respect for others with references to establishing ground rules, events and maintaining their boundaries and safeguarding. What I'll do is I'll give you a copy of these rather than me reading them all out as well, because you're not, but I'll give you a copy of all these criteria as well. Then you've got criterion B, which is the ways to promote equality and diversity with reference to inclusivity, and then criterion C, which is identify and meet needs of learners, and then criterion D, which is the ways of maintaining a safe and supportive learning environment. And it's about writing a reflective account of when you've done that, or you've seen others do that, and how you've applied it, and evidencing it against it. As I say, provide a reflective account. I've asked you to do that. I think a case study would be.
Yeah, I'm in the process of doing that at the moment. So.
Yeah. Okay. So if you can provide a case study that goes against it,
we'll do,
which would demonstrate all of those, and then what we do is when you completed that, we'll go through it, and I'll see, I'll assess it against those 4 key criteria, and that's in there. Okay.
Yeah, no problem.
Okay. So you're going through it at the moment, or
yes.
you're completing it at the moment then. Okay, that makes it a lot easier then, because with those 2 aspects there, how soon do you reckon you'll be in a position for us to be able to look at that and assess those criteria?
Well, the first batch of criteria, I'll be able to get that information over to you later on today, and hopefully, time dependent, I should be able to get the reflective thing over to you maybe tomorrow. Okay.
So if I was to say on Friday, which is Friday the 16th, if we meet at Wilton Fire Station, because that's pretty close to home for you as well, isn't it? And I appreciate from what you said earlier, you've got some childcare needs to that needs to be maintained. So if we say 10:30 in the morning, does that work? And then does that fit in around your childcare requirements?
Yeah, that's thank you.
Okay, so if we say Friday morning, 10:30 at Wilton Fire Station, then what we'll do is we'll sit down and we'll have a look at that documentation and paperwork, and hopefully be in a position where we can sign it off as assessed and sufficient to meet the criteria of Unit 301 Task A and Unit 301 Task B.
Sounds good to me.
Okay.
Yep.
In the interim, I will send you a copy of the criterion for there, so you don't have to try and remember everything I've just read to you. Okay. The second plan that I have to do, which is I'm going to class this assessment plan CE-2.
Yep.
This would be more of a practical based approach to it as well. And if we look at Unit 302 Task B, which again sits under the City and Guild Level 3 AET, and this is about providing a plan which explains why it's important to select teaching methods, selected the teaching and learning approaches, resources and assessment methods, and devised a plan for a micro-teach session. Gives the reasons why you've selected the teaching and learning approaches. In short, it's about producing a lesson plan and demonstrating everything that you're doing. Okay. Again, it goes back to that whole what you're doing at the moment in your role as a trainer or a teacher at the training centre here. So what I'd like to do with there, it also leads on then to Unit 302 of the City and Guilds Qualification Task C, which is to use that plan that you've devised to deliver the micro-teach session, ensuring that your teaching and learning approaches, resources, assessment methods, and communication meets individual learning needs. And then the second part of that criterion, which is criterion B, which is provide constructive feedback to learners to support their individual needs. What I'd like to do is, if you're in that position for doing it, I think that's a simulated environment task. And we can arrange for some students for you to present your subject to.
Yeah, no problem.
And for me, that would be nice and straightforward.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, in essence, we'll look at this, produce a lesson plan, goes off of the criteria that bits in there, deliver that lesson plan, and then provide feedback.
Yeah.
In a nutshell.
Yeah, easy.
If I go back a minute, because I omitted to sort of it. If I go back to the first assessment plan, CE-1, which is the Unit 301 Task A, which we're going to claim as RPL. The assessment evidence I'll need for that is that production of written evidence, so the certificate, the workbook that you've done, anything that sits behind there. And then with regards to the case study, is it just need you to provide me with a Word document or similar containing your reflective account so that we can mark it against criteria. With regards to assessment plan CE-2, Unit 302 Task B, what we're looking at doing there is the production of a written lesson plan. So if you can produce that for me as well, any associated learning or training resources you've got in and around there.
Yep.
Unit 302 Task C will be a video recording of the session, and also if you provide any feedback, if you provide it verbally or if you provide any written feedback, if you provide any written feedback, you just need to have a copy of that written feedback.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Okay, but I'll record both of those.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's fine.
Have you got any questions in regards to that?
No. That's all good.
No? Okay. Like I say, if we're going through it, if we look at, for example, Unit 301 Task A, and if we use RPL, that covers off criterion A, B, C and D. So we don't have to worry about that. So we use one assessment method, cover off 4 criterion. If we look at the case study, and again the written thing there, that covers off criterion A, B, C and D. So again, one case study covers off 4 assessment criteria. Simulated environment covers off Unit 302 Task B, A, B and C. And then the presentation and assessment afterwards covers off criterion A and B. So we're kind of covering it off there with a simulated environment.
Good stuff.
Okay?
Yep.
Happy days. Any questions? Anything that you see in there may be a challenge? Anything you see in there that you've got concerns about?
No, none whatsoever.
No? Okay. The date and the time of the assessment for the second part, Unit 302 Task B, I think it's already been set, hasn't it?
Yeah, tomorrow, 12:30, I think.
Yep, 12:30. So that's okay on from there.
Yep.
And then what we'll do is your presentation will be at 12:30. I think the last one finishes at around about 1:30, 2 o'clock-ish.
Yeah.
So at that point there we're done. But then when we meet on Friday at Wilton Fire Station at 10:30, we'll assess all the relevant paperwork and I'll be able to provide you with feedback at that point as well there.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else you need to add?
No.
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 Okay. I look forward to going over the next couple of days. I look forward to going through all the paperwork
Yep.
and the assessment with you, and hopefully achieving a positive outcome.
Good.
Let's look towards achieving a
Yeah.
positive outcome
Try our best.
and getting you that certificate so that you can then get that more rounded approach and a wider understanding and accreditation behind you.
Yes. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Thank you.
In that case, then, if there's nothing more to add, I will stop recording there. Thank you very much, Chris.